Okay, so we just did our morning meeting. Now we're going to jump into our whole group. Yesterday, we were learning about gathering. Yes, we were gathering food, and we're going to finish off with that word. We talked about the different food that we could find throughout Washington. We listened to, do you remember the name of the story?
Yep.
Sing a song. Say a song. Nice job, everyone. So we're going to continue on. And today's goal, our target, is to identify how the coastal and plateau tribes in Washington use their environment to live and do a tradition of giving thanks. All right, so basically, we have our coastal and we have our plateau tribes, and we want to know how they use their environment to live and how they appreciated the things that they got. So go ahead and share with an elbow partner, why is that important to know? Why is this an important thing to learn today? Green, go. Liam, you have your elbow partner, buddy? Sergio, do you have your partner? So we have a group here, but we also have someone in our group that's not included. So how can we make sure we have a partnership? What is a partner? It means two people, right? And then we have if we have an odd number, then we can put someone in there. Why is the target important? Why is it important to know how coastal tribes and plateau tribes use their environment to live and how they show appreciation? Jordan, did you find a partner? No? So how can we solve that? Boys, we have a group of 3 here. How do we make a partnership? How do we have like one person and one person together? Yeah, so can we solve that? Good job. All right, so we're going to hear from, you can either share your reason as to why you think that this is an important goal, or you can use your partners, or a combination of both. So if you are person number 2, and you would like to share your partners or your answer, Casey, why is this learning target important? Why is it important to know how the coastal and plateau tribes use their environment?
So, because they give us freedom to survive, and they give us freedom for us to survive and build houses.
All right, wonderful, thank you. Eleanor. Okay, now are you clear on what to do?
No, not really.
Okay, so coastal and plateau tribes, right? We have tribes that are on the water side, and then we have tribes that are further in on land, right? How do they use their surroundings, things that are in nature, to live? And why is that important for them to find things that are around them to survive?
If you want for them to find stuff, for them to survive, so they can like live and not like die. Because like if you're on the land side, you can get like chop down trees and like build houses, and if you live like near the water, you can like make rafts. Like you can like find some like up on land there, you can find some like trees, chop them down, like make like house rafts, like rafts on the house. And you can use like the water to go like fishing and as drinking water.
All right. And thank you also for speaking up and asking for clarification and advocating for yourself. All right, let's hear from Gage, and then we'll hear from Malcolm.
To have shelter.
To have shelter. And Malcolm?
To learn about geography and history.
To learn about geography and history. Yes. It is important. You guys have really great examples and ideas. It is really important for us to learn about the traditions and how our coastal and plateau tribes live, because that's their history. Where did they start from? How did they grow? And what kind of traditions and things have they kept up that their ancestors used to do, right? And that way we can show appreciation and we can show respect to other cultures, right? And Native people. So we are going to continue on. If you could grab your reading notebook. We're going to finish off our word gather. Nice job. Thank you for those that are doing that quickly. Max is ready. I see a bunch of others in our class that are getting ready. Yep, our word yesterday was gather. And we had some predictions. People said it meant collecting things. A group said getting stuff and putting together. People come together, collecting things together. A group of people in a certain area. So our final meaning today, let me see if I can find my pen. All right, our final meaning today for gather is to collect. Yeah, so you guys were spot on. So to collect, and we're talking about collecting as in to harvest. We'll put it in a sentence. Yeah. Okay, so to collect. So my sentence for this is going to be Native people gather herbs to make medicine. So Native people gather herbs to make medicine. So what you're going to do is you're going to put that into your own sentence, and then you're going to share with your group to make sure that you put it with the correct meaning in your sentence. Okay, gather means to collect. How you doing there, Eli? You find your page. Right here. Just put it right there. So go ahead and take a moment. Put the word gather into a sentence. Native people gather herbs to make medicine. And you finish with your sentence? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, ma'am.
Good. And yeah, would gather.
So writing down the final meaning.
Yeah. And so.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to collect? But then someone already said it. So when I got down to write answer.
Yeah, remember, if we have the same answer as another group, that's okay. I just put a check mark, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't mean like you copied them, does it? It means you guys are on the same page, right? All right, go ahead and heads together with your group. Share your sentences and see if you put it in the right context.
Okay. So I feel right.
You finish your sentence, Abraham? Not yet. You need more time? Do you need inspiration to hear it from your group, or are you good to go? Finish your sentence. Oh. Okay. All right, let's hear from person number 4. So you can either share your sentence or a partner. Person number 4. Remember, if your group doesn't have a 4, you're problem solving it. I see that Tegan and Ariel and Eleanor problem solve that. So go ahead, Tegan. We gathered all my toys into a pile. Thank you for sharing. Zoe. We gathered strawberries from the garden. Sergio.
I gathered pretty rocks at the beach.
I gathered pretty rocks at the beach. Abraham. I gathered food. And Ailish.
I gathered shells from the beach.
I gathered shells from the beach. Nice job. Okay, so gather means to collect. All right, we're not done yet. We're going to move on to our next word here. Continue on with it. Word number 3 is harvest. Harvest. Harvest is a verb. Verb, it's an action word. Nice job.
Is it under
Yeah, you're doing, yep. So we're on the next one, under gather. Harvest. All right. How many of you have heard or seen this word before? Harvest. Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. How many of you have not heard or seen this word before? Oh, so we have 19. Oh, we have 18 and 1. All right, so 18. Thank you very much. All right. Go ahead and say the word harvest to the flag. Harvest. Go ahead and whisper it to your left hand. And in your deepest voice, say harvest to your feet. Harvest. All right. So, what do you predict the word harvest means? Heads together with your group. What does harvest mean?
harvest means like just
Mr. Tucker.
I think it's too long. It's she said chicken. Yeah, you pick that.
You pick plant, herbs, and blades.
All right, nice job. Thank you for giving me your attention and wrapping up your conversations. Hey, person number 3 from each group. What did your group come up with for harvest? Maddie? To pick crops. And where did you hear this from? Or where have you seen this? At a farm. All right, thank you so much. Tegan. Okay. All right, and store them. You say for winter and summer? All right, thank you so much. Jordan. You need heads together with your group again? All right, go ahead and do that. To pick crops. All right. Thank you. Max.
To pick plants, buds, and herbs.
To pick plants, buds, and herbs. Thank you. And where have you seen or heard the word harvest before? Where'd you get that prediction from?
I think I went to a farm or something.
All right, so farm nearby. Okay, Gwen,
Need like a bit more time.
you need a bit more time. All right, go ahead, heads together again.
I remember I got it from my grandma's boyfriend's farm.
Okay, there you go. That's a good connection. All right, Gwen.
It's the same as Maddie.
The same as Maddie, to pick crops. All right. We will figure out the final definition, the final meaning tomorrow. However, harvest means the process of gathering full-grown crops. Do we ever pick things before they're ready? No. So that means they need to be full-grown. So we are going.
Minecraft.
Oh, in Minecraft. Yeah, Minecraft you could, right? Or that's probably another great connection there. Minecraft, you guys harvest things in there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. For survival.
Like the walk, like the wheat for off.
There you go. All right. So when I say harvest, you're going to say gather crops, and you're going to do a gesture with it. You're going to hold your palm up, either hand, it doesn't matter, and then you're going to say gather crops, all right? So when I say harvest, you say gather crops, and then say harvest at the end. Get it? Got it good? Harvest. Gather crops. Harvest. All right, let's go ahead and stand up and spell out harvest. Remember, we talked about the hat line, belt line, shoe line. So tall letters go up. If it is belt line, we touch our waist. And if it is shoe line, we go down and touch our toes. All right, so we have the word harvest up here in case you need help. Okay, so ready, begin. Harvest. Harvest. All right, and we'll continue this later on. Go ahead and put your reading notebooks away. All right. So typically, I would do this, and I'm zooming out really quick. Typically, I would do this on a big chart up here, but because we are spread out, I'm going to do a zoomed in version. That way people can see. I'll zoom in some more. Okay, and you might see that there is pencil markings on here, but that's to help me be a better teacher. So I have all the info, and I do my storytelling, and I can stay on track, okay? So if you can read things, that's totally fine. All right? And I will be zooming in so you can see. But I figured this was probably better than doing an anchor chart because I'd have to write like ginormous for everybody to be able to see. And we'll do that a little bit later, okay? All right. So okay, remember, as long as we are fingertips to fingertips away from people at the desk. So I will be coloring this, everyone. So if you can't see, that's okay. I will be writing in colored markers so you can see. So go ahead and stay at your desk.
May you tell me how to write that?
I'm sorry. Did you eat breakfast this morning?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Do you need to go to the restroom? No? Do you want to sit it out and see if it gets better in 20 minutes, or would you like me to call a nurse?
I have
to set it up.
You want it to settle for a minute? Okay, let me know in a few minutes if it gets better or not. Okay, so thank you for those that are spread out. Yep, if you were in the back row. But remember, if you can't see Eleanor, I will be writing in marker, right? So are we fingertip to fingertip away from people in their desk and on the floor? Let's make sure we're checking ourselves. Thank you so much. I know how hard it is. That's why on a big chart or this. Okay, pulling out my colors here. Orange and green. Orange and green. All right, so we are going to talk about two of our tribes here in Washington. We're going to talk about the Puyallup tribe. Yep, they are local here, right? Because we live in Puyallup. And they are a coastal tribe, which means that they are along bodies of water, right? See if we can zoom in again.
That's a lot of writing.
It is. That's what I said. Remember,
That's green.
it's for me, so don't worry about it. Okay? Just pretend you don't see it. Like sometimes you pretend not to hear adults, right?
Just do this.
What'd you say?
All right, so Puyallup is on the coastal side, and we're going to talk about their geographical location, but we're also going to compare it to the Yakima tribe. The Yakima tribe is on the plateau side, which means that it is in eastern Washington, so on the other side of the Cascade Mountains. All right, so let's talk about what it looks like to live on the coastal side in Puyallup.
Sounds interesting.
It does sound interesting. The geographical location of the Puyallup tribe is, now I want to preface this by saying that things have changed over time, right? So some of this information is based on how the tribe started out, you know, and their ancestors, how they lived. And some of these traditions and methods they still use today, but not all the time, right? So mainly, they lived in villages along the beach, okay? They needed that as a resource for survival, right? Because what do we use water for?
Water.
For drinking,
Water.
for water, to get salt out of.
For seaweed.
Yep.
Fish.
So,
Food.
they also, if you live on the coast here, you have temperate weather. Temperate weather means we have all the seasons here. And they're not extreme, usually. We seem to be having a lot of rain right now, like a lot of flooding everywhere. My brother up in Bellingham, there were cars that were covered in water, right? And then Tacoma, I mean, our weather can sometimes be extreme with our rain. Otherwise, we have pretty even falls, winters, summers, springs, okay? But mainly, what is our weather? Rainy and foggy, especially during what seasons? Winter and fall. So that's what we're experiencing right now, is rain and fog.
Can't wait to become snow.
Yeah. So what happens is, does anybody know what mountains are in between western and eastern Washington? Do you know what the strip of mountains is called in between us?
Wait, what?
Yeah, the mountains that are between.
Mount St. Helens.
All
Is that what I was talking about?
right, let's try with Gage. Gage is patiently waiting.
Maybe a coaster.
Oh, it does start with a C. Thank you for being brave and giving it a go. We have the Cascade Mountains. Everybody ever driven through those or seen the mountains before? Yeah. So going from western Washington, we have a lot more rain and fog because the ocean here, the water and the winds and the clouds, they bounce off of that mountain and they come back to us. So we get all the moisture. Compared to eastern Washington, where the Yakima tribe reside, okay, their geographical location, they live along rivers. And specifically, they live along the Columbia River. Anybody ever seen the Columbia River before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just said yes.
And their weather is a little bit more of a semi-arid. Semi-arid means that they have two definite seasons. They have really snowy winters and they have hot summers. Sure, they get rain here and there, but it's not as prominent or overwhelming as we get it over here. So really hot summers and really cold winters. All right? So we are going to continue on with the food, and then we will talk about the similarities and differences between the Puyallup and the Yakima tribe. Yes, Glenn?
It looks like you're writing them like the same kind of writing you wrote.
Yes, because that's my handwriting that I wrote with to begin with.
Oh,
It's invisible ink, right, Tucker? Yeah.
It's kind of invisible.
It kind of is. Remember, we are just ignoring my stuff. Nope. We're ignoring my stuff, right, Casey?
It's a house, Casey. It's a house. It's a net. It's a dead house.
Casey.
It's a house.
All right. Continuing on to food, we have the salmon. We talked about that before, right? Yeah. So we have sockeye salmon, and we have
The halibut.
that's a different kind of fish, but yes.
Uh,
We have coho.
Yeah, the coho.
Yeah.
And salmon berries.
Yeah.
Salmon berries.
All right. Waterfall, waterfall.
Here.
We have salmon, and we also have shellfish because they are along the water. They get shellfish from digging clams up, and we heard that from Saya's story. And then they also get them in the tides. So when the water rushes out, we have the rock formations, right? And the different, brain fart, what is it
Was
called?
money a thing back then?
Money a thing? Not
Yeah.
so much, no.
Not really, but
It was called a
like
trade.
gold. It was called gold.
It's called trade, right? We heard that in the part where they talked about food. They were harvesting and gathering crops and food and resources in order to trade with other tribes, right? And people. So we have tides, which means that when the water goes out, there's little crevices in the rocks that they can get little crabs and different type of shellfish in there. Right, Max?
Yeah, I'm listening.
I see that. Okay, then on top of that, they hunt for deer and elk. And then they gather berries, nuts, and roots.
Roots?
Yep, roots. We talked about that yesterday. What were roots? Anybody remember what roots were? Eleanor?
Plants that like grow under the ground like potatoes.
Plants that grow under the ground like potatoes. Thank you so much.
Ginger root.
Okay, then if we go to the Yakima tribe, let's pay attention to what is the same and what is different. We will talk about it afterwards. So, salmon, they have rivers surrounding them like the Columbia River, so they can get their salmon from there. And they celebrate the first salmon ceremony. And we will talk about that in a little bit. They gather berries, nuts, and roots. They hunt deer, elk, and they have buffalo on that side. And then everything depends on the season because they are kind of like a nomadic tribe where they have homes that they stay in during a period of time, but they also have teepees that they can just gather up and they can go where the food is, right? Because the deer and the elk and the buffalo move based on where they eat food and based on where things, supplies and resources are available. All right, so for those that are on the carpet, you're gonna have to go back to your desk because you need to talk with your partner. I want you to talk about things that are similar between the Puyallup and Yakima tribe for their geographical location and their food. And a hush fell over the crowd. Thank you for those that went back to their desk quickly. So you are going to talk with your group. What is the same and what is different between the Puyallup and Yakima tribe for their geographical location and food? Green, go.
They eat different food. They eat
I think it's a buffalo. Well, the buffalo. That's because the buffalo's not on the.
Are we controlling ourselves today?
My butt slipped off the
Yeah,
chair.
but are we trying today? Okay, thank you.
And they also they use that
Harvest. Collecting crops. Harvest. Let's try that again. Harvest. All right. That was a little better. It's all about growth, right, Sergio? All right. Thank you for those that went back to their desks. We're ready to go. We are going to try something here to talk about the similarities and differences. Okay. If this pertains to the Puyallup tribe only, you're going to stand up. Okay. If this, whatever I say, pertains to the Yakima tribe, you're going to stay in your seat. But if this is something they both have in common or both have that is similar, you are going to stand up and touch your toes. Give me a thumbs up that you understand. Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions? So, who do you stand up for? Puyallup. Which tribe do you sit down for? Yakima. What do you do if both of them? You touch your toes. Stand up and touch your toes. Get it? Got it good? Okay, so we are going to start sitting though. Thank you for those that have enthusiastic movements here. We're going to stay seated until we hear what it's going to say. Okay. This tribe eats berries, nuts, and roots. Is that the Puyallup? Is it the Yakima only? Or is it both?
Probably both.
So if you need to, you're looking at our chart up here. Which tribe eats berries, nuts, and roots? I see Casey is touching her toes. So is Zai. So is Maddie. Okay, let's try our next one. This tribe lives in a geographical location that has temperate weather. Temperate. Is that Puyallup? Is that Yakima? Or is it both? Temperate means they have all the seasons. It's pretty even, right? All the seasons. A majority of the class is standing up. Thank you. Okay, which tribe lives near water? Is that the Puyallup? Is that the Yakima? Or is it both? Looking at the chart, don't focus on anybody else. Is it Puyallup? Do they live near water only? Is it the Yakima? Do they live near water only? Or is it both? I see Ariel touching her toes. I see Tegan touching her toes. It is going to be both because Puyallup lives near the ocean and Yakima lives near the river. Okay. Which tribe lives in a geographical location where there are snowy winters and hot summers? Most of the class is sitting down is going to be Yakima. Okay, remember they have semi-arid, which means extreme weather, and they don't have all the seasons. So they're going to have snowy winters and hot summers. And last, which tribe celebrates the first salmon ceremony? Which tribe celebrates the first salmon ceremony? Oh, thank you for those that are being safe with their feet on the ground. There we go. I see both from everybody. Thank you. Nice job. So we're going to talk about the first salmon ceremony. Yay!
I love talking about salmon.
You love talking about salmon? Well, that's wonderful. Well, you all like food, so I think this is right up your alley, isn't it? Yeah.
I picked the first salmon dollar.
All right. Thank you, Max. He is ready to go listening to the story. Eli is showing me that. He has his eyes on me, and he is sitting still, and his hands are on top of his desk. Yes, taken. You have a question? Well, there you go.
I want halibut.
Did you keep the bones?
No,
Oh,
you're supposed to keep the bone.
Well-
Well, actually, you're supposed to throw them back in the water.
yeah. Well, if you've heard about this, wonderful. That means you're just getting more knowledge and different stories here.
It's just a refresher.
It's a refresher, right? All right. So, has anybody, raise your hand, has anybody been to a first salmon ceremony?
No. That's kind of.
Eli, you've been to a first salmon ceremony? Yeah, Liam, you too?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. All right, well, at the end, how about we find out if you have or have not, okay? So this story has been adapted by the first people of Washington. I am not quite sure which tribe specifically, but it tells a story of tradition, how different tribes within Washington, both on the coastal side and the plateau side, still to this day celebrate and practice it in similar ways that their ancestors did. This story takes place a long, long time ago. And as you listen to it, I want you to think about ways that this tradition, this ceremony, is similar to how you celebrate Thanksgiving. All right? So go ahead and tell your partner, what are you going to be doing while you are listening to the story? You're going to be paying attention to how your tradition is similar to the one that's in this story here for Thanksgiving. Green, go. Harvest. Collect, crops, harvest. Okay, thank you for extending that a little bit while I took care of something. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the picture here. And I know with the glare, it'll be a little... You guys will be fine about this being hard, okay? Just try your best. I will put my little paper above so it blocks out some of the light. There you go. And then I will stick the pictures over there so that you can see it better, okay? And look at it later. All right. You could try to turn off the front light and see if that makes it better. Thank you for problem solving that. We'll see. Does that make it better?
Yeah.
How about you turn it back on again so we can see? Long ago, when animals and human beings were the same, there were brothers who went about doing good. Coming to a Northwest tribe one time, they were persuaded by the chief to stay a while in his village. Knowing the wonder-working powers of the brothers, the chief said to them, "Won't you bring the salmon people to our shores? We are often short of food. We know that salmon is good, but they never come to our waters." "We will persuade the salmon people," replied one brother. "If we can find out where they live, we shall have to ask Snookum, the sun." After a good deal of struggle and using a few tricks, the brothers got the sun to tell them where to look for the salmon people. "The home of the salmon is a long way off in that direction," replied Snookum, pointing toward the west. "If you want to visit them, you must first prepare much medicine and take it with you. Then all will be well." The brothers let the sun go, and he flew off into the clouds. After gathering many herbs and making much medicine, they said to the Northwest people, "Get out your canoes and make ready for a long journey. At sunrise tomorrow, we will set out for a visit with the salmon people." Thumbs up or thumbs down? Herbs gathered make remedies to cure illnesses. So thumbs up or thumbs down. Herbs that are gathered help make cures or remedies to cure illnesses or injuries. All right, I see thumbs are up. That is true. Okay, we talked about that earlier, about the herbs that they collect in my sentence. Helps make medicines, right? Because they didn't have ibuprofen in a pill form, right? So they did things that would help cure. Raise your hand if any of you guys have collected herbs or berries or gone fishing. Who has gathered something? Ariel, what have you gathered? What food have you gathered?
Now there's berries because there's a bunch of blackberries where I live.
There you go. Blackberries. Tucker,
Fish. I've gathered fish.
you've gathered fish before. Eleanor?
I've gathered like vegetables from the garden, but we used to have a garden, but now where our garden used to be is our pool.
Oh, there's the pool there now. Liam, say that louder, please.
We used to gather seeds.
Oh, seeds. Sergio?
I've gathered blueberries.
Blueberries. Malcolm?
I've gathered tomatoes back at California. We had a ginormous tomato bush, and it was like my chore.
Oh, that was your chore. But a pleasant chore?
I didn't really like it.
Oh, good to know.
Because there was a lot of bugs.
Oh, I'm sure. Raya?
When I was younger, I used to gather strawberries with my mom and her dad.
Oh, very nice. Thank you for sharing. Max and then Casey, and we'll move on. Casey?
What I've gathered before is I've gathered blueberries, strawberries, and I've gathered like sweet pears and tomatoes. I've
All right.
gathered a lot.
All right, thank you all for sharing. All right, we're continuing on with the story. So they are heading out to the salmon people. The next morning, they all started westward. For many days, they paddled and finally came near an island. There they saw what seemed to be a village. Smoke of all colors rose into the clouds. This seems to be the country we are looking for, said the brothers. Sun told us that this is the home of the salmon people. So the paddlers took the canoes to the beach, which was very broad and smooth. All the Northwest people went toward the village, the brothers carrying the medicine with them. They gave some of the medicine to Spring Salmon, the chief of the village. As a result, he was friendly toward the whole party. In a stream behind the village, oops, sorry, Sergio. In a stream behind the village, Spring Salmon kept a fish trap. Shortly before the visitors had landed, the chief had directed 4 of his young people, 2 boys and 2 girls, to go into the water and swim up the creek into the salmon trap. Obeying his orders, they had drawn their blankets up over their heads and walked into the sea. As soon as the water reached their faces, they became salmon. They leapt and played together just as salmon do in the running season, frolicking their way towards the trap in the creek.
That's cool. Yeah, no, right?
Oh yeah, the press.
So, go ahead, Malcolm.
So if you've never heard this story, there's like someone who. So there's a village and they was starving with kids, and someone risked their life to become a salmon for food.
All right, let's find out what continues on. Thank you for sharing. So when the time came to welcome the strangers with a feast, Chief Spring Salmon ordered other of his people to go to the salmon trap, bring back the 4 fish they would find there, and clean and roast them for the guests. When the salmon were cooked, the chief invited his guests to eat. Eat all you wish, he said, but do not throw any of the bones away. Be sure to lay them aside carefully. Do not destroy even a small bone. The Northwest people and the brothers gladly accepted the invitation, partook freely of the roasted salmon, but wondered why they had to save the bones. What is your prediction? Why did the chief ask their guests not to throw away the bones of the salmon? Go ahead and turn and talk with your partner. What is your prediction? Green, go.
They're gonna use it for a material. Maybe that's what it like for
And it would give peace to the world. To say
Hi.
that they're at peace.
oh yeah.
Again.
Oh,
And I'll give you Thursday tonight.
okay, sounds good. Can you right now give me like 5 minutes? Because I'm doing like a video of my lesson here, and we'll be done, and I'll send them out to recess.
Okay.
So for now, can you just go like sit in the back for a couple minutes? Like, or you can, yeah, just like take a chair and head back there, okay? Just give me a couple minutes. I'll get them ready for recess.
Maybe they could use the bone for attacking or using for spirits against us.
Actually, you know what you can do? Come here. Take it back.
No.
You wanna, after I read a picture, can you put it up? Yeah, so I will read a picture and you put it up for me over there on there. So if you wanna just stand right here. There we go. Yeah. All right, we're gonna continue on with our story. So then I'll give you my picture, and then you just go put it on that. You see where the rest of the pictures are? Just go put it up there, okay? Thank you so much. When all had finished eating, some of the young men of the salmon village carefully picked up the little pile of bones the guests had made, took them to the beach, and threw them into the sea. A few minutes later, the 4 young people who had earlier gone into the water reappeared and joined the others. For 4 days, the chief entertained his guests with salmon feasts. Thumbs up or thumbs down, were your predictions correct? That the people would come back out of the water the bones thrown in would come out as people. All right, some of our predictions were correct. Nice job.
I thought they were.
You got there. The care taken with the bones at each meal excited the curiosity of one of the visitors. On the 4th day, he secretly kept back some of the bones and hid them. At the close of the meal, the rest of the salmon bones were collected in the usual manner and cast into the sea. Immediately afterwards, 4 young people came out of the water, but one of them was covering her face. Why was she covering her face? Didn't have all the bones. Approaching the salmon chief, the youth said, "Not all of the bones were collected. I do not have any for my cheeks and nose." Turning to his guest, the salmon chief asked, "Did any of you mislay any of your salmon bones? Some are missing." He pointed to the face of the young woman. Pretending that he had just found them on the ground, the Northwest youth who had hidden the bones brought them out. Now all the visitors were certain that their hosts were the salmon people. So you were just trying to confirm that, right? Was this legit? Was it real? Are the people the salmon people or not? "We have come to visit you, Salmon Chief, for a special purpose," explained the brothers. "We came to ask you to let some of your salmon people visit Northwest waters. Come up the stream of the Northwest people. My friends are poor and they often go hungry. We shall be very grateful if your people will sometimes visit them." "I will do as you request," replied the Salmon Chief, "on one condition." What do you think that condition is?
To turn in the bones.
To turn in the bones and put all of them in there, right? "On one condition, they must throw all the bones back into the water as you have seen us do. If they will be careful with the bones, my people can return to us again after they visit you." "We promise," said the brothers. "We promise," said the Northwest people. Then they prepared to return to their home across the water, towards the rising sun. As they were leaving, the Salmon Chief said, "I will send spring salmon to you first in the season, After them, I will send the sockeye, then the coho, then the dog salmon, and last of all, the humpback.
The humpback whale?
No, it's a humpback salmon as well. But good connection there. Similar in that. Ever since that time long ago, different kinds of salmon in that order have come to the northwest waters, to the sea, onto the straits, and into their streams. And in the days of old, the native people were always very careful to throw the bones of the salmon back into the water. All right. So our goal during that was to pay attention to your Thanksgiving traditions and those of the salmon people and the Puyallup tribes and the Yakima tribes. What do you have that is similar to the traditions of the first people here in Washington? What is similar to your Thanksgiving tradition? Go ahead and share that with your elbow partner. Green, go. What traditions do you have that are the same and different? And then we'll do pencils. Okay. Thanks for your patience. Do we have to have what? The same partners? What partner have you been talking with?
Okay.
Yeah.
So goodness is kind of like not really.
We celebrate Easter,
Harvest. Gathering crops. Harvest. That was your best one yet. All right, to wrap up this before we head out to recess, the first salmon ceremony is still practiced today. In fact, a few years ago, I went to one that the Puyallup tribe did, and it was a very cool ceremony. And so they give thanks for the salmon by placing the bones back into the water for the first of the season. And that's how they show appreciation. And every year since then, the salmon have returned to their spawning places, right? And so what's wonderful is we continue to have an abundance of salmon. And so we can thank all of our first people here in Washington for that, the abundance of salmon. All right.